Right, I'm using my new thing to do a vlog, and it's a tripod with a light on, so you should be able to see stuff nicely. And let me just make sure the light is where it needs to be. Sorry about the grunting, I've got really arthritic hands. And that's the light, LED light. I want to make sure that you can see everything properly. Not even sure I've got this the right way around, to be honest. Right. So, I live in an area where it's an arable area. And vegetables and fruit and stuff like that is grown. And I've just rinsed my dish out, so I'm going to wipe it quickly with some kitchen towel. Yeah, so I live in an arable area, so I went to one of the orchards and I picked a load of windfall apples. Some of them are a bit bruised, so they'll get the chickens. That one's not too bad, they're a bit spotty. So they're just, I have no idea what variety they are, but it really doesn't matter. And I'm going to make an apple crumble. I'm just sorting through. They've been sat outside there for a week. And bear in mind these are windfalls. I never ever take from the trees because that's stealing. But if they've landed on the ground, they're going to be left to rot, and that just seems like a waste of good fruit. So anyway, that'll do. Put this to one side. So a couple of years ago I had a glut of pears, and I wanted to make dried pears. And peeling them and coring them was a pain in the backside, so I bought, let me just move some of these things out of the way, bought this. Best bit of kit I've bought, seriously. And I'll show you what it does, if I can remember how to work the darn thing. It's been years since I've used it. Right, so pull that like that, so that I'm going to pull that back. There's not enough room in this kitchen. I need a big farmhouse kitchen, so we'll pull that back like so. Get an apple, put it firmly on the prongs. You go like that, and so you can alter, there you go, the core. You can alter this thing so that it peels more of it, because I didn't quite get enough of the peel off. That's not going to bother me because I don't mind. If you don't centre the darn thing properly, what happens is that you leave a bit of core behind. So that will do. Don't want the pips. We don't want pips, because I'm going to make today apple crumble. Now these little bits of apple that I'm wasting down here, I'm not right bothered about, because I've got guinea pigs. I've got my guinea pig boys. Let me just get some of these apples out here, because, oops, sorry, are you still seeing things? Because I'm going to put the apple in here. Bloody dog hair. I'll tell you what, dog hair gets everywhere. Don't bother me, it's only me eating the stuff. Now you could cut that up into like smaller bits if you want. I'll take the bruisey bits off. There's the bruisey bits, so we'll take them off. The core will get taken off. This, I think we need to move a little bit further forward and take more of the peel off. There we go. theory, this should stick to the surface, but because this is like slabs of wood, it doesn't stick, because you'd have to have like a really firm surface for it to stick. Anyway, what am I doing? Yeah, anyway, so I try to aim it, because the cores are never central. I try to aim it so that I'm going to get all the core off in one bit. In theory, that often doesn't happen. But yeah, this didn't make my life easier when I was doing all my pairs, hundreds and hundreds and hundrds of pairs, and all the peel comes off in one strip. I mean, you can eat that if you want to. You know, you don't have to go out and get some guinea pigs. Well, that did a good job. Look. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Now, the purists will tell you to sprinkle lemon juice over that to stop the apples going brown. But again, I'm not really bothered whether they go brown or not. Because they're going to be cooked. I'm going to put them into, oh, that's a big one. That is a big one. I'm going to put them into a crumble. Put them into a crumble, so, you know, they're going inside something, so it doesn't really matter to me if they've gone a bit brown. I ain't right bothered. But yeah, look how quick that is. I've got a bit of bruised bit on one side, so I'll just cut that bit off. There we go. A little bit of, as I say, it doesn't bother me how much waste I'm creating, because I've got 3 little fat guinea pig boys out there that are going to enjoy this. They do like their fruit. I feed them guinea pig food. Well, I buy guinea pig food. Every so often I'll buy a sack of guinea pig food. But the best thing for guinea pigs is vegetables, fruit and hay. And hay, of course, we've got, because I've got 2 ponies. There's just no effort in this at all. Let me just get that back a bit, because I missed some of the peel. I think if you go too fast, it does miss some of the peel. So I think that's enough for crumbly. Happily crumbly. Yeah, that'll be enough. I'm only going to make one to show you, and then I've got a proper big bake going to go on, and so I'm just looking for some. Oh, there we are. I'm going to go out of shot a minute, because I want to put these away and take them out to the guinea pigs. One of my recycled plastic things. I'm not sure what came in this. Pork chops, I think. I'll wash them all and I'll keep them, because they're just so flipping useful for stuff like that. So that's for my guinea pigs. That's all the peel that came off. That's all the apples. Should give them a quick rinse in cold water, just to make sure I get all the dog hairs off them. I've got dogs, you know. What can I say? I've got dogs, there's dog hairs. Right, I'm going to leave these. I shall leave them in water. Right, now we're going to make pastry. Just dry my hands quickly. Put my peeler away. Good bit of kit that. And it's all manpower, there's no electricity involved. Right, so I'm going to need the scales. I'm going to need, now then, now Now then, you can, to make pastry, it's a shortcut pastry, you can use half butter to lard, but I'm not going to. So I buy this stuff here from Aldi's. I like it. It's a spreadable, slightly salted butter blended with rapeseed oil. So there's no palm oil in this either. And I like this because I can spread it straight from the fridge. But also that means that it's very convenient when you're making pastry. And oof, yeah, it has to be cold to make pastry. So I've got the back door open at the moment, and my hands are very chilly. So I'm going to need plain flour, like so. And the basic formula is half factor flour. That's all you use. I've got my special pastry bowl. Like this is the one that I use for pastry, always. I don't know why, I really like it. So yeah, so that's half factor flour. I'm not going to use all of this, so I shall use half. I'll use 250 grams of this, that'll be fine. Now then, let me just, oof. You can buy special tools, and I used to own one to make pastry with. You go like that, but I can't blooming find it. Anyway, so if I'm using half of this, it should be 250 grams. Oops. It's really nice and soft. So it's going to require the minimum of, it's not hard to make pastry. It isn't. It's not hard to make any pastry. Choux pastry is a doddle. You know what profiteroles are made out of them, and eclairs are made out of choux pastry. And you wouldn't believe it's the easiest thing in the world to make. That'll do. It's about 250 something. We put that in there and zero it. So we'll go 500 of plain flour. If I make too much pastry, it's not wasted, because what I'll do is I'll make some jam tarts. Make some jam tarts or something. Oops. Spoon. Need a spoon. Don't know what you're waiting for, dogs. I don't know why my dogs are getting all excited. Oh, she's cooking. They think master shortcut pastry, literally you can make anything. Pies, savoury pies, whatever. So I've got the soft spreadable, what's it in there? Got my pound of flour, 500 grams of flour in there. Put that away. Don't need that anymore for the time being. And as I say, for those of you who are a bit mimsy about getting your hands dirty, you can buy a tool that's got a handle and it's like half moon shaped with loads of things. And I did have one, but I don't know where it is. Probably I've just chucked it out because I never use it. Yeah, this work surface for me is a little bit high. I'm only a short ass. I'm only 5'2", so ideally it's easier, especially if you've got arthritis, to get, you know, higher up, but I haven't. Anyway, all you do to start off with, as I say, some people I know don't like getting their hands, it's not dirty, is it? It's clean. You just mix it and mix it as much as possible to get everything mixed. Hopefully you can see this. And then you start doing like that. Make sure the margarine and the butter's all mixed nicely. Needless to say, wash your hands before you start. I'm a bit of a hand washer. which is it's a good habit to have when you've got animals. But my hands get terribly cracked in the winter because just I'm always washing my hands. I must wash my hands 20 times a day. It's terrible. I'm a bit obsessive about it. It's not a bad obsession. Right, and the other thing you do, see, I'm doing this. And the aim is to mix it and to get it as much like breadcrumbs as you can, so that it's the breadcrumb consistency. And you see, so just doing like that. When you find that it's more or less done, that it's all breadcrumby, and the more you do this, then the more it's starting to clump together in bigger clumps, that's the time to start thinking about adding a bit of water. So yeah, so breadcrumby, very light breadcrumbs. I mean, you can probably see that. But that's all you need to do. There's no special science, there's nothing difficult into making short crust pastry. Hopefully you can see that consistency's like that. Then you'll come to adding water. I'll use that because that's a bit warm. The water needs to be cold because it has to be cool to make pastry. Pastry doesn't like to be warm. So yeah. So when you've got it like this, let's see if I can hold this up. It's like almost like breadcrumbs consistency. You add a little bit of water, just a bit. Don't be adding too much at once. I'm going to use my spatula now because this is going to start getting really sticky. So you add your spatula just to mix things around a bit. You don't want to over mix pastry. You don't want to over handle it. It's not like bread dough where the more you bash it the better it is. With pastry, the least you do it, the better it is. But what you're trying to get is just so that it goes into a ball and leaves the bowl clean when you mix it. So I'll show you quickly. As I say, it's very cold in this kitchen today because I've got the back door open behind me and all. There we go. There. So that you can roll it round in a ball and the bowl is practically clean. Maybe a little bit more water in that, quite frankly. You'll learn, if the more you do it, you need it not completely sloppy, obviously. You just need it so that it's nice and stretchy because you're going to roll it in a minute. That'll do. But no, there's nothing like homemade pies. They're lovely. Right. I'm going to use one of the little shopping pads I bought the other day from Tesco's. And what you need to do is, trying not to tip over, dogs, you flour your chopping board like so. If you've got a wooden one, so much the better, quite frankly. I'm just getting my thingy down. Flour your rolling pin. I use this wooden one just because I've got it, but you can use a wine bottle if you haven't got one. Gives you a good excuse to drink wine. I really ought to replace this because it's got a flipping knot in it, so it's not very good to roll out with. So you don't need all that. What you do, take your pastry, put it out there. because I'm making a crumble, what I'm going to do is take half of this, or 2/3 of it. I shall take roughly 2/3. I shall put 1/3 away, because that's going to be the crumble. If any dogs are fighting underneath my feet, there will be trouble. Now, the thing with pastry, you have to keep flouring and keep rolling and keep moving so it doesn't stick. I might have made a little bit too much pastry here, we'll just see. Mind you, this chopping board thing's not very big. Now, you make it as thick or as thin as you want. I happen to like a good bit of pastry on my pie. And I've got some pie dishes. Just roll it out. So that's probably 1/2 inch thick. Yeah, it's probably 1/2 inch thick. Now then, I need to get, one of these. One of my little, just cheap and cheerful. I think you get something like 6 for £1. You get them in QD's, pound shops, you get those. If I make an apple pie, you can buy deep ones of these, and I prefer a nice deep dish for an apple pie. But that's just my preference. Now, I'm going to use a piece of kitchen roll with some of that buttery stuff on, because you need to grease your pie dish. You can get silicone dishes, although I don't rate them for pies, because you need to have a bit of support for a pie, and those silicone ones, they flop. But anyway. Right, so there's your pie dish. And how you transfer your pastry. Put that there. Right over there. Lift it up, and it won't be sticking because you floured it. Put that over the top. Like so. Move over here. And then just gently, just fold it in so that it's in, if you get the drift. There you go. With a sharp knife, go around the edge. Now, if you were making an apple pie, what you're cutting off here would then become the lid. You'd re-roll it, and it would be the lid. But I'm not making an apple pie, I'm making an apple crumble. So, right. So that was that. Now then, I don't do things like other people do things. And you can get cooking apples, which are bloody bitter. And then what you do with your cooking apples is that you stew them with loads of sugar to get the bitterness out. And I don't do that because I don't like sugar. Well, I don't like refined sugar. So I try to avoid it as much as possible. So I just used any apples. I haven't got a clue what variety these are. They're some sort of dessert apple. I've had them soaking. I'm now dabbing them off with some kitchen roll. I'll show you in a minute. To dry them. Otherwise they soak the pastry. You don't want soggy pastry. I'm just going to dry them quickly with some kitchen roll. I'm going to turn the oven on. Few dogs. I'm going to do about a gas mark 5. Sorry, I've got stuff all over the place. Get out, dogs. I'm going to do a gas mark 5. It doesn't need to be super hot. Make sure you get as much out as possible. As I say, if you were using cooking apples, what you would do is you'd like use 1/2 pound of sugar on them to try and make them not so bitter. But I can't see the point in that, so what I do is just use ordinary apples. So we've peeled them, we've cored them mostly, and I'm going to sprinkle them in there. Just move these over so you can see. Sprinkle them over there. I'm not worried about chopping them too, or laying everything out so it looks pretty, because they're all going to cook down. It's all going to cook down. It'll be yummy. Yum, yum, yum. I'm very partial to apple crumbles. Right, so a nice full crumble. There's nothing worse than not enough fruit in there. Right. All my wet kitchen towels are going to go onto my compost heap. We try not to waste anything. Dogs out, please. You can't see them, but they're all underneath my flipping feet, looking to see if I'm going to drop any bits of apple or anything they might like to eat. They've been fed today. It's hardly like they're starving, because they're not. Right, so it's nice, all done. So that's that. The other thing I do with my apple crumbles is I like cinnamon. I love cinnamon, so I'm going to add some cinnamon, and I'm also going to add sultanas, because I do like them. As I say, they're not. It's not like anybody else makes. I don't follow any recipe particularly, other than the pastry one. But you know, I like sultanas. You don't have to add them if you don't want to. That's absolutely fine. But if you do want to add them, go for it. This makes a nice pie. If you do a pie top, that's nice as well. Barking dogs. I've got an absolute. This baking drawer is chock-a-block full of stuff. Right. Quaw. Cinnamon. I buy it in bulk. Absolutely love the stuff. Love it. It's perfect on like a winter's day. Cinnamon. You don't need much. I'm just going to use, that's like half a teaspoon. Sprinkle it over to make it nice and cinnamony. You can sprinkle it over the crumble. Yeah. Lovely. And then I'm going to get a little bit of sugar. Not much. You can use brown sugar if you want to, but I don't like super sweet. I want to taste the fruit, so I'm only going to have, this is a large teaspoon with sugar. That's all I'm having, because as I say, I prefer mine to be more fruit than sugar. Now then, where's my pastry thing again? You'll see why I don't use much sugar in this in a second. Move things out of the way here. So this is the pastry. This is the 1/3 that I took off. So again, you put it in your pastry bowl. And this is where you add the sugar. So you don't need that. You don't need a lot of sweet stuff in there. Leave things alone, please, Gripper. And this is where you're going to just continue kneading and mixing all the sugar with it, so it's really sweet. And the sugar makes it slightly hard as well when it bakes. So this is where you add your sugar. There's plenty of sugar in here. You don't need loads of sugar in the pie thing as well. I mean, that's the one complaint about shop bought stuff for me, is that A, it's expensive, and B, it's flipping sweet. I bought one from a supermarket a few days ago. I really fancied an apple pie, and I just was too lazy to make one, to be honest. I wasn't in the mood for baking, and I bought an apple pie. There's no measurements to this, just until it starts getting like crumbly. If your pastry is very sticky, you can always add a bit more flour as well. So it's just trying to like break it into bits. Just add a bit more flour if it's still a bit sticky. So you're just trying to dry it out and make chunks out of it, basically. So yeah, I bought an apple pie from a supermarket, a big supermarket. Looked very nice, apple pie, about £1.50, something like that. I don't know what it was exactly. It wasn't super expensive. I cut one slice out of it, had a couple of bites, and then it went to the chickens. Because, I don't know, the pastry was very soggy on the bottom, and inside it seemed to be like apple jam. It was just so sweet, and the pastry was sweet as well. So they'd added sugar to the fruit and then more sugar to the pastry, and it was just bloody vile. I must have had 2 bites out of it and I threw it to the chickens. Chickens ain't fussy, they'll eat anything. So yeah, so basically you're getting like crumbly stuff like that. That's all I do. If I wanted to add a bit more cinnamon to this as well, I could. I don't bother, but just pull it into like little shreddy bits. It doesn't have to be super small. In fact, when you think about it, the flour, the butter and the sugar is a basic biscuit mix, isn't it? Flour, butter and sugar, that's how you make biscuits. There's no bloody dog hair in there. Where the hell did dog hairs get in here? Anybody that wants to criticise, then go ahead. You have a complaint saying you wouldn't eat here with dog hairs in my cooking. Well, you weren't invited. I won't invite you. Anybody that's got a problem with dog hairs in my stuff, you ain't going to get invited anyway. So, just rip it off into little bits. It's probably not like the way they make them in factories. I don't know how they make them in factories. But this is how I make them, and they come out lovely. And the crumbly bits are big chunks of crumbles. And I like big chunks of crumbles. Makes me laugh. You see these so-called news articles. Gordon Ramsay tells people they've been roasting potatoes wrong all the time. Well, how is it wrong if people like it? If that's how people like it, it's like when I make a rice pudding. I make a rice pudding that's not sloppy. It's quite dry, in fact. But that's how I like my rice puddings. So no doubt Gordon Ramsay or some other top chef is going to come along and say, you're doing it all wrong. Well, how's it wrong if that's how I like it? I don't like sloppy rice pudding. So when you find a recipe and a way of doing something that you like, you carry on, you know, don't take any notice of what other people tell you. And I never tell you this is the way you should be doing things. I tell you this is how I do things. Cool, this looks lovely. Oops, there's a bit on the floor. That's one good thing about having dogs, I suppose. Right, like that. The topping's going to be super sweet. A bit more sugar over the top. Let me just wash my hands. Handy wash. Can't bear it. I just can't. I can't. There's no way. You know, I've got stuff on my hands. I cannot not wash my hands. I just can't. So, clean hands. So this is it. Now, see if I can tip it. See how thick that is. Compare that to a shop bought one. Anyway, I'm going to put this in the oven. I'll put this on pause. And we'll have another look when it comes out. I'm just going to show you something quick. We're going to do tarts out of what's left. So that's what I cut off from around the bottom of the thingy. So I've got my little, you grease it. I'm going to make some tarts. Bloody dog hairs. Right, so I'm going to roll this out again. Get more flour. if you've got cookie cutters, and you can use cookie cutters. Used in this, you can make mince pies as well. They're nice. Mince pies are nice. Everybody likes mince pies, don't they? Look how much we've got left. I haven't got cookie cutters. So I'm going to use jam jar. I shall use a jam jar. Maybe I won't actually, that's very small. That's too small. That'd be a top if I needed one. There's a big jar. Hang on, let me just find a big fat jar. There we go, big fat jar. That's better. Push it in. Try to get as many as you can out of it first go, because the more you mess about with flour, with pastry, it gets rock hard. So you really don't want to be over manipulating the pastry. So try and get as many out of like the one shot as you possibly get in one go. It's the same as if you add too much water to it. You end up with a really hard, rock hard, like stones, break your teeth type stuff. So you can stretch it slightly as you're putting it in. You stretch it to make it fit. And all I'm doing with these, I'm just going to make a few little tarts. Just stretch it and tap it in. Just be light with it, be gentle with it. Pastry doesn't like to be manhandled too much. So I'm going to make some more. I've got 2 more to make. As I say, this I'm already, it's nice and cold in here, but pastry just doesn't like this. It doesn't like it. The less you handle it, the better. But I only want to roll 2 more little pastry cups out of this. So this will be the last bit of handling it's had. I don't like it. Bread dough's lovely, because bread dough, you get all your aggression out, don't you? You smash the living bejesus out of it, and it thrives on it, and the more you beat it up, the better it is. There we go. That'll do. That'll do. It's just a way to use up the excess pastry. That's all you're doing. You don't see jam tarts so much nowadays, I don't think. I don't know whether they're not fancy enough for people nowadays. I don't know, but there you go, they're little pastry cases. Now you can fill these with, you see this now, it will be too hard to do anything with. So if I mess about with this anymore, it will be fit for nothing anyway. You can fill it with jam. I've got jam, I think I've got some strawberry jam, but I'll tell you what I'm going to fill it with. And this is really sickly making. Golden syrup. It's what the old treacle tarts were made out of. Oh, you put some in there. You don't need much. And yes, I know this is a plastic squeezy bottle. Many years ago, you used to be able to buy, I won't buy Tate and Lyle's, anything, Tate and Lyle's sugar, Tate and Lyle's syrup, because Tate and Lyle supported Brexit, and I don't. And I boycott any company that supports Brexit. So Tate and Lyle's can go and poke themselves. So I got this is an Asda own brand one. They used to do golden syrup in big jars, which was brilliant, because then I'd wash the jars out and I could reuse the jars. But they don't. So your options are, you buy Tate and Lyle's in a tin, which I suppose is recyclable. I can't reuse it, not personally. Or you buy it in a squeezy bottle. And the squeezy bottle at least I can reuse. I make my own. I like chipotle, and I make my own chipotle mayonnaise in a squeezy bowl. And you just mix mayonnaise, normal mayonnaise. I use the lighter mayonnaise. You mix mayonnaise with enough chipotle powder, according to your, your tastes, how strong you like it. Because it's quite expensive to buy in the shops. I just don't believe in paying more money than I need to. So that's it. There's about a teaspoon of golden syrup in each one of these. You can fill them with lemon curd if you like, or lemon turd as I call it. And I used to make my own lemon curd and it was lovely. Watch the lemon curd that you buy in supermarkets, because most of them contain palm oil. If you're an ethical shopper, you won't want to use anything with palm oil in. I don't think the Sainsbury's one has palm oil in, but just check the ingredients. But you can use any jam, golden syrup, lemon turd, marmalade if you want it, just whatever. Make little treacle tarts or jam tarts. I'm going to stick this in the oven. Please go away, dogs, because you're getting right in my way and annoying me. And I'm best when I'm not annoyed. So that's it. That's all I'm going to do today, because it's nearly 4 o'clock and I'm due for another painkiller at 4. So I've just washed things up. I'm going to wash up, put things away, tidy things away here, and then that's my lot for today. However, tomorrow I hope to be making fudge and or cinder toffee. You'll like the cinder toffee. It's quite explosive, literally, this cinder toffee. Lovely stuff to make, very interesting. So that's it. I'll pause this again, and then I'll turn it on again when the crumble's ready. And I finished baking. So I've made lots and lots and lots of treacle tarts. I don't know what's happened to that one. There's treacle tarts, little ones, and that's the crumble. There. See if you can see it sideways on. Look how deep that is. The top, this, let me see if I can tap it with something so you can hear. My Victorian knife. I absolutely love this knife. It's not stainless steel, it's just steel. Can you hear it? The apples have cooked in their own juices, and that'll be cinnamony and raisiny, but the apples don't take much to cook at all. And the top is nice and hard and crunchy, and it's like shortbread or shortcake biscuits. That's what this tastes like, real hard and crunchy. And as you can see, that's quite a deep pie. I don't do things by halves. If you're going to have a pie, have a decent pie. So basically, that cost me, well, the apples cost me nothing because they were windfalls. You don't have to go gathering. You can, if somebody's got an apple tree in the area and they're just letting the apples drop, ask them if you can have the apples. You can buy reduced price apples. Don't buy cooking apples. So that the apples were free. I used 500 grams of plain flour, handful of sultanas, 250 grams of the soft butter stuff from Aldi, and just enough sugar to taste. I mean, I added the cinnamon because I really like cinnamon. But can you imagine if you'd have baked that? I mean, that's cost pennies to bake. I baked it on gas mark 5, and I put that in, I think it was 5 to 4, because I was due my painkillers, wasn't I? So it was 5 to 4 when I put it in. It's 20 past 4 now. So half an hour. Gas mark 5. Oh, dropped an apple. Gas mark 5. If you go online, you'll be able to find out what that is electric, but I cook with gas, so I can't help you. But yeah, free apples. If you look around, you can find apples. You can probably find blackberries as well. Or cheap apples. Don't buy cooking apples because you have to use so much sugar. And don't do anything with them. Just peel them and slice them and core them. Put them in your pastry bottom. You saw how I make it. You saw how I make my crumble, and I make my crumble so it's crunchy. So it's like eating the biscuits on the biscuit topping. And the apples will cook in their own juice with minimum sugar. You're getting your sweetness off the top. So that's it. That's apple crumble, Pam style, and some little treacle tarts again, Pammy style. And all this was in, see, they're starting to stick. This was just a little bit of extra out of the trimming. Remember, I trimmed around, and that's all this was. This is just a little bit extra. But if you've got kids and you're on a budget, pastry is so cheap to make. Shortcrust pastry, cheap to make, easy to make. Make yourself a nice big apple crumble like that as a big treat. I mean, that'll stick to your ribs. If you have your dinner and you have that as a dessert with a bit of ice cream or some custard, believe me, you won't want anything else to eat for the rest of the night. It's not like you'll be nibbling on crisps half an hour later. That's a proper rib sticker. And the little treacle tarts. If you want, you can put cornflakes in them before you bake them. Put your treacle in. That's just literally, that was a teaspoon of golden syrup into each pastry case. So get baking, basically. It's cheap, it's interesting. And if you've got a family to feed on a budget, you really need to be baking. You do, rather than buying everything, which you get. I mean, when I think about that apple pie that I bought from the supermarket, I think it was £1.10. And the bottom of it was soggy and undercooked. There was some sort of apple jam, really made me feel sick sweet, apple filling. And then the topping, again, it was some sort of short crust pastry, but it was sweet. It was so sweet. I literally took a couple of bites and I wanted to be sick. That was just too sweet. Oh, by the way, let me just turn that off a minute, see if I can turn that off. That's the thing that I bought off eBay that I've been filming with. So it's a tripod, and my camera goes at the top, and then it's got this LED light, because this is not the lightest room in the house. It's a very dark house anyway. But I think I paid 16 quid for this. Bargain. Absolute bargain. If it makes my cooking vlogs easier for me and I don't have to have a thing on the head, then I'm well pleased. So anyway, that's it for today. For tomorrow, I will be making either cinder toffee or fudge. Probably cinder toffee, because that is so interesting. You wait till you see it. And it's great fun to make. And if you like crunchy bars, of course, which most people do, that's very yummy. And it makes a good gift. You know, buy some cellophane cones off eBay or wherever. I do buy a lot of stuff off eBay. You find all the good bargains on there. But buy some cellophane cones. They come with like little twist ties, various colours. Make a batch of cinder toffee, put it in a twist cone, and that's a good gift for somebody. You know, don't be wasting your money on tuck from B&M that people don't want, they don't need, and within 6 months it'll be in the bin. So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to it. The painkillers are just starting to kick in, and I'm feeling very happy. I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'm going to have one of my little treacle tartlets. I'm going to let the apple crumble cool, because that's going straight in the freezer. Because if I start digging in that, I'll put on half a stone. So, but I'll freeze most of the little treacle tarts. So most of those will be frozen as well. and the whole of that apple crumble is going to be frozen. This is what I do, you know, I bake. I bake and bake and bake, and I've got two, I think they're about 5 foot, 6 foot chest freezers. They go straight in the chest freezer. And that's all my stores. No panic buying for me. Every time I go out, I don't generally buy these. I don't buy bolognese sauces. They're a waste of money. Instead of buying bolognese sauces, all you need is a tin of tomatoes, just a tin of peeled plum tomatoes, a handful of Italian herbs or some oregano, an onion and some garlic. That's it. And I think one of those special pasta sauces, I think one of those is like £1 something to buy. And when you compare that to 20 odd pence for a tin of tomatoes, it makes a big difference. But every time I go out, I buy something extra, something extra. I make sure I've got plenty of tinned mackerel, tinned tuna, anchovies, which I like when I make pizza. I like anchovies on my pizzas. Tinned fruits, just for a quick and easy dessert. The bolognese sauces, lots and lots of pulses. So kidney beans, butter beans, chickpeas, aduki beans. And I bought these the other day from Tesco and I got overcharged. So these were these spicy beans. So spicy beans, they were on special offer, 39 pence a tin. They're a bit expensive for me. I wouldn't normally buy that, but spicy beans, you see. I can make a meal with those. And I got charged 59 pence a tin. And I bought 4 tins. So that's 80 pence Tesco's owes me. So, but I'm not due to go back into town there for another 3 weeks. And I'm not making a special round trip just to get 80 pence back, because it would cost me more than 80 pence in diesel. So yeah, so every time I go out, I buy, even if I don't need them, because I've always got plenty, I usually buy a jar of the cherry preserve that I like from Lidl. I buy a thing of golden syrup from Asda. What else do I buy? Honey. I always buy honey. I buy set honey, because you can make it runny by putting it in the microwave. So just buy set honey, because sometimes I like honey on toast. And when I buy coffee, because I only drink ground coffee, so I buy a pack of ground coffee. Even though I don't need them and I've got plenty, every time I go out I buy one of those each. Every time I go out. I go shopping about once every 3 weeks, every month. Just to keep my store cupboards up. Oh, and if I see anything on special offer, like, you know, baked beans are on, I buy cheap and cheerful baked beans. Or baked beans with sausages from Aldi's. And I've always got my eyes open for like special offers. So if there's any dried pasta on special offer, or, you know, a tin that I can put in my store cupboard, special offer. And the aim is basically, if the shit hits the fan, as they say, I can feed myself. I don't have to go out panic buying. No panic buying for me. I can feed myself, so long as I've got like the basic ingredients. But I can feed myself on next to nothing. So anyway, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to edit this video because I've done it in about 3 or 4 sections. I'm going to sit down with a cup of tea and a treacle tart. So take care, stay safe, see you soon. Bye.